I'm sorry, BayouBuzz.com. Ringside All-Star Monday is Chad Rogers, publisher of the DeadPelican.com. On Tuesday, it's our friend Steve Sabludowsky, publisher of BayouBuzz.com. But the wrinkle with Steve Sabludowsky is that not only are we doing it on the airwaves on 990 AM, we're also doing it via a Google Hangout at BayouBuzz.com, so you can listen and also you can see the two of us, which is a special wrinkle that we do each and every week right here on the program. And Steve's been doing these Hangouts now pretty much since a launch. So, Steve, welcome back, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Listen, I do have a few wrinkles, probably more than Chad, but anyway, thanks a lot for the promo.
Yeah, well, we're both older than Chad, so both of us have more wrinkles than he does. So, and the Google Hangout technology is getting better as time goes on, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, since you brought that up, on Friday, we're having a webinar. We're going to sponsor a webinar. People can look on Bayou Buzz to get information about it. And the issue is, or the topic is, politics and video, particularly Google Hangouts. Twitter has various technologies, Periscope, and you and I did what's called a blab, which is a little different, and they're all different and they're all very powerful. And actually, they tie into a column that I wrote last week and an article, at least a column I'm writing or finishing for today, and that is the role of video in politics. There's some really wonderful things going on, but there's really some horrific things going on too. And so we're going to be talking about that in the webinar that we do on Friday. Again, those people who want to attend can go to BayouBuzz.com and they'll see the ad or the promotion on the right.
Hey, that's great, Steve, and we'll spread the word about that for you. So
Sure,
Steve Sabludowsky with us, publisher of BayouBuzz.com, Jeff Crouere here. On the airways, 990 AM, WGSO.com, via your TuneIn app, of course, on your mobile device, also BayouBuzz.com with the Google Hangout. Steve, here's what we've been talking about, everything from Trump to Hillary, the debate tomorrow night, the new ad Hillary's got out for sexual assault victims. Kathleen Willey is very upset. The, of course, email scandal still continuing. Bernie Sanders at Liberty University, Mayor Landrieu, and the firefighters, and of course the monuments still in the news. A debate last night in Mid-City, and then of course David Vitter getting a question at the Alliance Forum last night about the prostitution scandal. Listeners have been chiming in on that. The killer of James Bennett Jr. is still at large, so we've been talking about the crime issue. So which among those would you like to address before we take some calls at 504-556-9696?
Well, the one I have personal knowledge about in terms, I was actually at that part of the debate last night, and where the question was asked, and so I'm curious. Very curious as to what your callers have to say about it.
So, well, just fill us in since you were there. So he was upset by the question. It didn't specifically say, well, did you engage with prostitutes? It just was about this Title 14, correct?
Right. And, basically, well, first of all, I got there about 5 minutes before that question actually was asked. The question was asked. It was the last question.
Yeah.
And so I got to the forum late. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to listen to the other questions, just a minor part of the question before. And so, yeah, this lady who asked the question apparently read in the paper that she was, I think she represented the Alliance for Good Government New Orleans chapter. And so the question was very, very generic about whether or not anybody has violated revised statute 14. Now, anybody going to law school, and in fact, I didn't have to read the newspaper to picked this up. So I don't know what, say, Darden or others said, but anybody who has gone to law school would know that R14 is the criminal statute. And for Vitter to say that, he really didn't know Title 14, especially being a legislator, I just have to wonder, well, excuse me, but that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like saying that you don't know the Constitution. But on the issue itself, I don't know. I have no idea whether or not there was any, say, if there was any prior communication going on between this lady, the alliance, and Darden.
Being a plant for Jay Darden, and Jay Darden denied it.
Yeah, I have no idea. She says no, he says no. He said he didn't know Title 14. So, I have no idea. The bigger issue, I think, here is whether or not the whole prostitution issue is an issue.
Well, here's what we've seen. Yeah. We've seen a reporter ask a question, and that guy has subsequently been fired.
Yeah.
And there's conflicting claims as to whether it was due to the question or not. We've seen Tyler Bridges do some pieces in the paper about it where the whole history was brought up. Then you've seen this group starting to run commercials now on radio and TV linking him to the scandal. And now a debate question where it's come up. So it leads me to think that we might not be seeing the senator in a lot of televised debates between now and the end of the election. One, because of that, but two, because he's the front runner and might not want to expose himself to potential problem.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly the case. And that's a shame because, he has attended over 30 forums. And although he did not go to the televised debate, the one televised debate that did occur, but he has been at the forums. But as I think as has been mentioned, I believe that those forums that he's attended, the questions have been given to the candidates in advance. I don't see that as being, I think
that's not much of a forum, is it? When you give the questions to the candidates?
That's horrible.
I have candidates ask me that, say, hey, will you submit the questions to me in advance? Hell no. You never do that. That should be a cardinal rule. You just don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, well, we're going to be talking about foreign policy. We're going to be talking about crime. We're going to be, those general issues. So they're kind of honed up. But, to do that, I think that it tells me, look, I've got something I don't want to talk about. And that's a shame because the people, I think, have a right to hear all the issues. Now, I'm personally not going to. This is something that I think is important to note. I personally am not interested in what he did, who he did with, things of that nature. To me, the issue is, does it impact upon what happened? Does it impact upon his ability to be governor of Louisiana?
Yeah.
And that's the question that I have. And is it going to impair his ability to be governor of Louisiana? I have some thoughts about that. And
what do you think?
Well, I think that no, it will not have any it won't have any impact upon his ability to be governor. I think it will impair, and I think there are two. I think that's a distinction. Mm-hmm. I think that there is an issue as to. I think what was probed yesterday was, was there a violation of the law? And I think that's a legitimate question. Really, I think he would be asking that same question if somebody else were were in that type situation.
Do you sense it's coming up now more than it did in 2010? I find it interesting that now 5 years later, it seems to be coming up more than it did right after the scandal broke almost.
Well, it's coming up, I think, because the fact is that for the most part, it was a Democrat versus Republican election back in 2010. And the Republicans, I mean, they had, what choice did they have? They had a Democrat who was a moderate Democrat, but, he was on the party of President Obama versus David Vitter and his issues and being the anti-Obama candidate. So I think that, it's, when you have Republicans bringing it up, and Republicans have been, I mean, they've been the ones pretty much so who have been the family value party. And so, again, I don't really care what he did. I mean, I really don't care what he did. I think that the question is, does it affect his ability in any way? I think no.
All right.
Doesn't it impair? There are issues that are related to it that I think does impair, and I think those things ought to be discussed.
All right, 504-556-9696. Jeff Crouere here. Steve Sabludowsky with us, publisher of BayouBuzz.com, our Google Hangout, our weekly visit with our Ringside All-Star. Talking about the governor's race, David Vitter, and also, of course, Mayor Landrieu. He has introduced Mayor Landrieu front and center in the race and making the monument issue sort of part of it, tapping into something that I think is unpopular, I would say statewide. And who knows about New Orleans, but unpopular statewide. And that is the quest to remove the monuments and saying, hey, Mitch, focus on murders and on monuments. I think that's got some political appeal. Maybe Mitch Landrieu becomes the Obama stand-in in this election because, of course, running against Obama worked so well for him in 2010. In this election, Obama's on his way out. He's running against Republicans, so bringing in Mitch Landrieu might be politically pretty wise. Your thoughts?
Well, it's very predictable. I mean, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's a popular issue in many quarters in Louisiana, and so it's a predictable issue that he would bring up, and predictable because he has used third parties who are not running in the election. He has done that in the past, and so it's an issue to me. It's a double-edged sword because if you're going to say, hey, I'm tough on crime, okay, and I'll be tough on crime, then it raises the issue of crime. And that's not necessarily what I said about impairing. That's not necessarily an area that, I mean, number one, he didn't know the revised statute 14. Or he says he doesn't. Number two, keep in mind, and this is an issue that I think is important, okay? And I've mentioned before, and we'll be writing about it again, and that is that, look, he was trying to quash the subpoena. He was, in terms of the D.C. Madam case, he was, according to his attorney, taking the fifth. He has the constitutional right to do so, to do both, actually. But the problem is here in New Orleans, in particular, the biggest issue is, or it's not statues, it's the willingness of people to testify in criminal trials. And so where, say, it impairs, it gets to the situation where you have to ask, well, can you say I'm going to be tough on crime if you yourself weren't willing to put yourself in front of a judge, in front of a court, and to testify?
All right. With that, Steve, we got to take a break. We'll come back to the phone calls. All right. Steve Sabludowsky with us, Jeff Crouere here. Open line. Talking about everything from presidential race, governor's race, David Vitter, Donald Trump, Hillary, Mayor Landrieu, monuments, and crime. 504-556-9696 to join us. All right, we'll take a brief time out, take care of some business. Your phone calls next right here on Ringside. Also, check us out, BayouBuzz.com for the Google Hangout. And my column will be there a little bit later on today, so check out BayouBuzz.com. All right, Jeff Crouere here. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Three men were discussing the meaning of success. One said success would be serving as a consultant to the president in the White House. The second said, no, success is being in a conversation with the president when the red phone rings, but he chooses not to answer it because he's talking to you. And the third man said, no, success is being in the Oval Office when the red phone rings, having the president answer it and say, it's for you. Well, I would say the best definition of success is the one Jesus used, accomplishing the work God gave him to do. This is David Jeremiah, encouraging you to get on the road to new life. Discover God's definition of success on Route 66.
Route 66, driving the word home. Log on to Route66Life.com and get your roadmap for life. Route 66, start your journey home today.
You face many questions and uncertainties in life. This is Ralph Leopold. Join me for Your Money, Your Life.
Tuesdays at 5 on WGSO 990 AM.
And we can talk about it.
Hey, New Orleans, join me, Greg Douglas, on Fan to Fan Radio, a weekly perspective on college sports you won't get anywhere else. I'm no professional statistician or film room expert, just a rabid college sports fan with half my brain focused on the conference we love. New Orleans has become a melting pot for SEC fans, and we will tap into that. Wednesdays from 7 to 8 on WGSO 990 and WGSO.com.
Hi, this is the Reb
and the Vet.
Join us
Thursdays
7 to 9 p.m.
on WGSO 990 AM
and WGSO.com.
Hi, this is Marcel Lashover. Join me every Friday from 5 to 6 for Show Me the Money Show on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Join us Thursday night for Politics with a Punch. It's Louisiana's version of Politically Incorrect. Doors open at 6. The event begins at 8. All held at the Eiffel Society, 2040 St. Charles Avenue. Our great panel includes Mr. Mardi Gras Blaine Kern, Billy Nungesser, and Saint superstar Tyrone Hughes. We'll also have great entertainers and comedians, and yours truly is MC as we kick off the election season. Tickets available at the door or for a discount at ringsidepolitics.com. We'll see you there Thursday night.
Those Facebook people have got nothing on us. Give us a poke or friend us. Ringside Politics with a Punch is on the air right now. You like? Call Jeff Crouere right now at 556-9696.
All right, and we'll have some tickets to give away before the end of the program today to Politics with a Punch. You'll be able to see Steve Sabludowsky there, of course, Blaine Kern, a host of other interesting folks, including Tyrone Hughes, who's now on WGSO with Eric Asher Monday nights at 7 for a new sports program that has just been launched here. So we're excited about that. All right, Steve, a lot of folks want to chime in, so let's go to the phone calls at 504-556-9696. And next joining us, it's a gentleman who has now endorsed David Vitter. Of course, I'm talking about local civil rights leader, crusader for justice, friend of Al Sharpton, president of National Action Now. Of course, I'm talking about well-known leader, Reverend Brown. Reverend, good morning, sir.
Thank you for the great introduction. How you doing, my good friend Steve Adowski? How you doing?
Reverend, I'm doing fine, thank you.
And my reason for backing Vitter is because I just don't have no faith in other candidates. I'm not voting for no Democrat. I'm not gonna vote for no Democratic candidate.
Is that, you think that's sort of throwing the vote away, Rev?
No. I just feel that African Americans got to wake up. They must wake up and realize that the Democrats have not really done a lot for us.
Right.
I mean, the Republicans, they honest with their racism. When they don't like you, they don't like you. They fight against your programs. They fight against this and that. But Democrats lie, throw one hand and hide the other, and act like, oh, we so much a friend to the black race. But I know different. I know, see, I'm in politics. I can see. And those who standing from afar off trying to figure out what's going on, I know what's going on. Now, I want to address the issue of Vitter. It's just disingenuous for them to bring up the sex scandal that happened, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
15 years ago, maybe. I mean, who knows when it really happened? Might have been like 2000. Might have been the last reported time it happened. I don't know.
And so it's just, his wife have settled with him. His kids just about grown now. And it just is not right to bring up something that try to get folks to vote against him because, you know, he made a few mistakes. I mean, both of y'all sitting on that program right now. Y'all don't like women? Y'all don't like women? If you say you don't like women, you're lying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might not be a homeowner. You might not mess with them out there, but I know y'all eyes turn when y'all see something look good. Well, a man gonna be a man.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to justify what he did, but it's kind of wrong when you're dealing with these women dressing like they provocative, like they dress in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those same candidates who bringing up his past, you might could do some research on them to find out they was with a mistress.
Well, and who knows? Maybe they're doing opposition research on that. But Reverend, interesting comments. Thanks for the call. So, Steve, does that surprise you? Someone like Reverend Brown in David Vitter's corner?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, if you remember 8 years ago, he was backing Bobby Jindal. And so I'm curious as to what Bobby Jindal did for him and for his people.
I don't think he did much for the state.
Well, I understand. You know, anyway, he raises a good point. Okay, and that is that I don't.
It's sort of old. I mean, it's an old story.
It's an old story. Okay, and I think that his statements about, well, the two of you are going to, look at, attractive women. Yeah, come on. I mean, give me a break, Reverend. There's a big difference between anybody, a woman or a man, looking at somebody of the other sex and engaging in something that could be a violation of revised statute 14.
Yeah.
So, there's a big difference in that. And so the people have got to realize, well, is that important to them? How important is that to them if it is important?
All right, let's get some more calls in. 504-556-9696. Time for our friend Larry in Metairie. Larry, what's going on? Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. I was wondering if I could just tell you why I don't give a damn about the monuments.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Let me tell you why, Jeff. And this is why. I think it's irrelevant. It's embarrassing that the mayor is bringing this stuff up. It's just awful. Here's why. And this is a great example. And honestly, I could give you 5, but this one really hits close to home. As usual, 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine pulled up in their driveway in Egret. You know where Egret is, Jeff? Where it's Swallow, Egret, all those streets out there.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, nice, very nice area with nice homes in that area. Yeah.
Sure. Not too bad. 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Yeah.
A black guy jumped out of nowhere, put a gun to her head. This was in front of their 8-year-old boy. So she screamed. Luckily, he was probably cracked out or something. He ran. And so she thinks, I'm pretty lucky to be alive. And that's just one example of what's going on in New Orleans. It has been going on my whole life, of course.
Have you seen the video? You've got guys going up to cars, opening them up. It's in Lakeview. We had a couple that was the victim of a home invasion in Lakeview. We've had carjackings in Lakeview. What's going on in Lakeview, Larry?
Yeah, well, I think it's no different than New Orleans East and Uptown near my parents' house in Carrollton. Jeff, obviously we're 700-800 men short in our police department.
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious. Plus they make bad decisions. They don't spend their money properly. It's just a mess. I don't know, man. The crime's out of control, if you ask me.
So that obviously takes precedence, and the monument's not at the top of your list. So isn't it interesting, instead of dealing with that, the mayor's convening meetings and forums and hearings and public gatherings about the monuments?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, man, because the crime's everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that about your friend. I really am.
Well, I'm glad she's alive. So
Yes, we need more good people here. I'm glad she is alive, and I'm so sorry that happened to her. That's Larry joining us, 504-556-9696. Steve, let's squeeze in one more before the end of this segment. Our friend Rick in Metairie is with us. All right, Mr. Rick, how are you, sir?
Good morning, G listeners. Well, everybody's worried about David Vitter and his prostitution. What about Hillary and her emails? I mean, doesn't it fall under breaking the law? Isn't it against the law to jeopardize national security? I mean, isn't that more important than David Vitter getting a whack job from a woman or something?
Well, I think national security is more important. I think the potential classified information that could have been compromised is more important. Yeah. But we don't know yet, Rick, whether she committed a crime yet because the investigation's not complete.
All right. Well, the investigation ain't complete. Hey, how come liberals always want to crucify the Republicans, but doesn't it say it's better to forgive someone? For what you forgive, you shall be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
And for what you don't forgive, you shall be condemned for. So how many liberals you call you station every day that are guilty of the same crime that they're trying to accuse that man of?
Well, that's interesting. I think a lot of voters maybe have forgiven David Vitter. As far as Hillary, John Cornyn today, Steve, calling for a special prosecutor. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point in time, I think we ought to have a special prosecutor. I think you had asked me that question a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And at that time, I said no. I think that we should wait until the thing the hearing that's coming up. I think that Rick is correct, and that is that from partially correct, I should say, and that is that one is a whole lot more serious than the other. If she did commit a crime, if there's a cover up.
All right, Steve, hang on with us. Got another segment. Got to roll to a break though. Steve Sabludowsky with us. Jeff Crouere here. It's Ringside WGSO. We'll be back. This is Jeff Crouere. Join me at 7 a.m. till 11 for Ringside Politics with a Punch right here on WGSO 990 a.m. New Orleans, Louisiana.
USA Headline News. I'm Ron Taylor. Help is on the way for 8 California firefighters who lost their homes in the last week while trying to save the property of others.
I just got off the phone with one of our firefighters who is not going home because he feels so strongly that his community as a whole has lost more than himself.
Mike Lopez with CAL FIRE says Battalion Chief Paul Duncan was fighting the Valley Fire when he got a frantic call from his wife as she was escaping the fire that destroyed their home. A Mississippi college instructor suspected of killing a colleague and a woman who lived with him is dead. Authorities say Delta State professor Ethan Schmidt was killed at the university by Shannon Lamb on Monday in an incident that may have stemmed from a love triangle. Lamb took his own life last night. Southern Utah authorities now say 8 people are dead and 5 others are missing after a flash flood swept through a small town. 2 cars had stopped in Hilldale yesterday and were washed downstream when the floodwaters rose too quickly for them to escape. North Korea says it's ready to use nuclear weapons against the U.S. anytime. The state-run news agency says the isolated country's main nuclear facility is now in full operation. This is USA Headline News.
Bobby, you here again?
Yeah, my doctor told me to reduce stress at work, so I come to Buffalo Wild Wings to eat lunch and watch sports. I get to pick one of 7 entrees, like sandwiches and salads, plus one of 7 sides.
Well, I like sides.
It's so affordable I can finally take a vacation.
Where you gonna go?
Here, Tim, here.
Introducing the new B-Dubs Fast Break Lunch Menu, starting at a new low price. Dine in or order takeout weekdays between 11 and 2. Participation and availability may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Right now at the Home Depot, save 20% when you buy 1 or more pallets of in-stock GAF shingles. So let's raise the roof and lower the cost with bulk pricing on top-of-the-line GAF shingles, including Timberline, America's favorite shingle. This is worth shouting from the rooftops. Let's do this. Save 20% on 1 or more pallets of in-stock GAF shingles at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through September 30th, U.S. only. See store for details.
I'm Jeff Crouere.
I'm Eric Asher. You can always catch us on the radio right here on WGSO 990 AM.
Did you know you can catch us on TV?
That's right, Jeff. We're on WLAE TV.
Join me every Friday on Ringside Politics with a Punch at 7:30 with a rebroadcast Sunday at 10 p.m.
Check me out every Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. and a rebroadcast Friday at 10 p.m. for Inside New Orleans Sports. That's WLAE-TV, Cox Channel 14, Satellite, and AT&T Channel 32, Charter Channel 11. Don't miss it.
Suburban Roofing and Siding, 504-861-ROOF, locally owned and operated, fully licensed and insured, and a member of the BBB, and has been re-roofing South Louisiana for over 15 years. If you have damage from the recent hailstorm, Suburban Roofing will work with your insurance company and offers customers flexible financing, 1 year same as cash, and accepts credit cards. My good friend Marty Scoggins is honest and reliable and stands behind all of Suburban Roofing's quality workmanship. Suburban Roofing skilled crews are experts in all types of roofs. Don't sign that contract. You call Suburban Roofing and Siding at 504-861-ROOF.
The only honest man in Washington. That's how Republican Jeff Landry was described, for defending his conservative principles. But those who know Jeff aren't surprised. Raised in a working-class family, Landry's school-teacher mom preached classroom discipline and personal responsibility. Those lessons shaped Jeff, working in the cane fields, as a police officer and sheriff's deputy, and as a decorated veteran of the Louisiana National Guard. A small businessman who created jobs. After law school, Jeff Landry continued working to grow Louisiana's economy. But it was his role as a concerned husband and father that made Jeff take on President Obama's radical agenda. Running for Congress, he won and pushed pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and pro-jobs legislation, including the repeal of Obamacare. Jeff Landry is prepared to be the Attorney General we deserve. Honest, ethical, hard-working. Jeff Landry, our candidate for Attorney General.
Paid for by Landry for Louisiana.
Beautiful day, lots of sunshine coming to us. Still some low humidity, but it's coming back already. An east and southeast breeze will start flowing through today, taking over.
One more segment with our friend Steve Sabludowsky, Ringside All-Star, publisher of BayouBuzz.com. Check us out at BayouBuzz.com for the Google Hangout. And Steve, got a full call board. Lots of folks want to chime in. Any comments before we take some more calls?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Number one, in terms of what Rick said, I think that it's not a liberal versus conservative issue in terms of, if somebody's committed a crime or not. Look, if somebody's committed a crime, or if we feel like somebody has committed a crime, then that's a serious issue. It's serious with regarding Hillary Clinton, no doubt about that. And I think we should pursue that. Mm-hmm. As far as David Vitter, again, to me, that's the issue as to whether or not it's going to affect his ability, the respect that the people should have. It's not what he did, and in terms of the details or anything like that. I'm not concerned about that.
All right, 504-556-9696. Let's get back to the phone calls. Next, joining us, our man on the scene, our roving reporter, our guy in Gentilly. It's Sid. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Pertaining to Vitter and the governor's race for the great state of Louisiana, I totally agree with Reverend Brown on this one, my boy. I'd rather have a womanizer represent us as governor of the state of Louisiana than a manizer. Thank you.
That's Sid, 504-556-9696. Back to the phone calls. Next, joining us, our great contributor here, our man with a lot to say. It's time for Colonel Jessup. Colonel, good morning, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. Jeff, I'm starting to come around with your thoughts on Ronald Reagan and his foreign policy. They actually, I agree with them. They were fabulous. When Iran and Hezbollah slaughtered hundreds of Marines of ours in the Middle East, Reagan didn't take the bait. He cut and ran. He got out, which was a brilliant move. And secondly, when Gaddafi shot down 200 Americans over Lockerbie, Scotland, he also didn't take the bait then. He just shot one missile at him, got out, and then left them alone. That's what we should do instead of like George W. Bush. I'm reading his book now, and he says in the book, I was not going to go into Iraq unless I found that Saddam Hussein was linked with 9/11. Well, he never did. And another reason I always was against Iraq war, because this is the deal in the Gulf War, which Bush's dad was in. What happened was right before the war, if you remember, Saddam Hussein said he was going to use what, quote, mass weapons of mass destruction. That's not a bomb or anything. That's just a chemical weapon. But anyway, he said he was going to use this, and everybody against Israel, and everybody in Israel on TV had a gas mask on, if you remember.
Right.
What did he do? What did he do? Nothing. So that's why you should have never went in there. You stay out of the Middle East. Use Ronald Reagan's policies. Get out and stay out.
All right, that's Colonel Jessup, 504-556-9696. Let's go to our friend in Pearl River, Mr. Adam, joining us. How you doing, Adam? Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey.
Jeff, I'm going to use Larry's phrase and tell you something, and that is why I don't give a damn about David Vitter's personal moral failing.
Okay.
And this is why. David Vitter had a moral failing. He's expressed sorrow. He's expressed remorse. And I defy anyone out there who's calling him names, attacking him, to tell me that they don't have any moral failings in their life. This is a teaching of Jesus Christ. When you've got a log in your own eye, don't look at the splinter in someone else's until you've gotten rid of that log. So, as Christians, we understand moral failings, we understand remorse, and we understand forgiveness. Now, this moral failing is what it is. It did not affect David Vitter's ability to perform his legislative responsibilities. In fact, he has performed them outstandingly if you're a conservative and of a conservative nature. So this is what the liberals always do. We should be immune to it by now. They attack. When they don't have attack on someone in terms of their legislative performance, they do it personally. And we're sitting here discussing this.
Yeah.
We have a Barack Obama who refuses to enforce federal law on the border. He's in favor of illegal cities.
Sanctuary cities, right.
We have a Hillary Clinton responsible for the murder of Americans under her watch. And we have babies being killed and supported by the left of having them chopped up afterwards, they still won't come against Planned Parenthood. So,
well, and we have Republican leaders that don't have the courage to defund it either, Adam. So, you know, it's a bipartisan support network for Planned Parenthood. Sadly,
no argument there at all, Jeff.
Yeah.
And they're the same types of low lives as the others are.
I agree.
All
right,
we need to keep this thing in perspective here. This is a non-issue.
You raised some good points, and I think the forgiveness factor is certainly one that has been seen in other cases and might be at play here, Steve. Voters have forgiven him for it.
Yeah,
And it's something that's a non-issue, but I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is it seems like it's getting mentioned more often now at debates and at these various forums and on TV with these commercials than we saw 5 years ago. And there have been no new developments. I mean, there's nothing new to the story.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing new to the story. I totally agree with that. I think that, again, where it's important, at least to me, is the relationship that it might have to, say, an issue such as law breaking.
Mm-hmm.
That is where it's relevant to me. And to respond to Adam and the other callers, I mean, look, two wrongs, and I said this last week, two wrongs don't make a right. You know, you never, I just don't think, look, if somebody did something wrong, okay, then you accept or disagree with that person, but stop comparing it to others. You know, I mean, really, if Obama did something wrong, blast him. Hillary, blast her. Vitter, Darden, somebody else,
Bill Clinton,
blast them. Bill Clinton, for sure, blast them. But for us to say,
take each case separately,
take them separately. I mean, this is insane that we try to defend our positions by saying, oh, well, you know, those people on the other side are, you know, and I just think that that's not right.
All right, we got a lot of people that want to chime in. Let's try to squeeze in as many as we can in the few minutes we have remaining. James in Metairie is with us. What's going on, James? Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff, and hello, Steve. A couple of things, a number of items here. Steve talked about the role of video in politics. Can you imagine if they had been a video camera, audio equipment in the room of Wendy Cortez when David Vitter was going down there several times a week? Can you imagine the moans and the groans and the things that he might have said about his wife?
I don't want to. I don't want to think about that, James.
It's often been said the left has better enemies than the right. If they had been people who knew about that, put those cameras, if what's his name, the reporter with the hidden cameras guy. Anyway, if it had bugged that room, Vitter's career in politics would have been over. You know, David Vitter in the controlled media. David Vitter had some thugs who were blocking out a citizen dressed in a diaper the other day at the qualifying event.
What do you mean blocking him out? I saw a picture of the guy.
Well, there were signs in front. He did there. I don't care about David Vitter's sexual fetishes, okay? I don't care what he does with his wife or anybody else, but please don't present yourself as a person who lives and complies with family values. He's a hyper hypocrite. Now, I know time's of the essence here. I want to. You guys probably know, or at least met this guy by the name of Rolf McAllister, right? The publisher.
Yes, McAllister. Mm-hmm.
McAllister, right? Greater Baton Rouge Business Report.
Right.
He's no liberal. The guy was served as Jindal's transition team.
Yeah, he's a close associate of Buddy Roemer. Yeah.
And a very close associate of Bobby Jindal. He's no liberal.
Right.
He's on the LSU board of
supervisors. Yeah, I know him.
Rolf McAllister. Are you aware of the column that he wrote in his publication about how it would be a very, very bad hire to hire David Vitter? He compares David Vitter to the time when Edwin Edwards was the governor, how embarrassing it was for the state. You know, the state was a joke. It wasn't funny. We lost residents, we lost jobs, we lost businesses. He doesn't think.
And he said that because of the scandal. He said that was.
Yeah, well, of course, because of the scandal.
Okay.
David Vitter committed crimes. It's not a question of moral failings. Don't give me that moral failings BS. what a euphemism. David Vitter committed crimes in the French Quarter, multiple crimes in the French Quarter. He went to Washington, D.C., tried to hook up with the madam, to get more sex away from his wife, and that woman subsequently committed suicide. David Vitter has blood on his hands. So it's not a question of moral failings, folks. He's a liar. Ask the flaming liberal about that, and he's a criminal who is unindicted and unconvicted.
All right, James in Metairie fired up about it. Steve, real quick, and then we got to try to squeeze in one more if we can, one or two more quickly. Any quick response to that?
Sure. Yes. Thank you. It's hard to disagree about the crime issue. I do believe that there are other issues on the table, and I think that we should weigh David Vitter. And in terms of those other issues, does he have the right solutions to those issues? So, yeah, to me, this is a big question. Crime, obviously, it's a big issue to him because of the commercial. What are his solutions? So I think we got to put all this together and weigh everything.
All right, let's go to Dwayne, who's with us uptown. Hey, Dwayne, how are you? Good morning.
Pretty good, Chris. Doing good, Sean. I'm sorry.
Joe, Curly, Mo, Larry, this is Jeff, Dwayne, whatever your name is. All right, Dwayne. Tim, Bob. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, to answer Adam, listen, Adam, God and his son, Jesus Christ, is not a white man from the South in America. He's not from Mobile, Alabama, and he gonna give you a pass because you a good old white man. He just ain't. Okay? In fact, he taught us that all sins, all of them, carries the same penalty. So you can't, on one hand, say, well, David Vitter isn't that bad and Hillary Clinton has blood on her hands. And listen, a sin is a sin. I'm like the last caller. As a matter of fact, I'm a little deeper. Prostitution should be legal. A woman should have the right, if that's how she want to earn a living, she should have the right, as long as we can regulate it, make it healthy, and let them pay taxes. It's my opinion, it ought to be legal. So my opinion, I don't care how many women David Vitter has or had. The problem I have is David Vitter was the one who put his blonde hair, blue-eyed kid and his wife in front of the camera and said, you know what, Dwayne, you H-O-E mongler, you low-down creep. I despise people like you.
All right. That's Don from Uptown, 504-556-9696. Next joining us, Cherokee White Devil. Hey, Cherokee. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you think David is an issue that divides the state? I don't think so. I think he's going to be our next governor, and in all of the conversation, I remember before Vitter, I guess he was in the state house. Was he a senator or was he a House member? I forget.
He was a member of the House.
House, and then Congress, and then senator.
Well, he was a spur under Edwin Edwards' saddle. And I remember Vitter debating Edwin Edwards on a radio show. And Vitter was just point by point making it very hot on our ex-governor for the, I forget the issues that they were
probably term limits, Cherokee.
Yeah, term limit. And let's look at it this way: personality-wise, Vitter is flawed. Well, we all are. But if you go to Washington and you look at what he's done up in Washington, not many people like David Vitter. He doesn't build friendships for some reason, and he's not considered the most popular guy.
Yeah, well, and, of course, Edwards was, but, of course, he stood right, at least in my view, on a lot of issues, especially term limits. I love term limits. Hey, thank you, Cherokee. Steve, we're out of time, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So check out BayouBuzz.com for my column, and, of course, check us out Thursday night for Politics with a Punch. Thank you, Steve. All right, whole lot more coming your way.